All right, thanks for staying with us. Social accountability refers to the wide range of citizens' action to hold the state to account, as well as actions on the part of government, media, and other actors that promote or facilitate these efforts. Social accountability strategies and tools help empower ordinary citizens to exercise their inherent rights to hold government accountable for the use of public funds and how they exercise authority. In this first part conversation, and as we continue to reevaluate citizens' role in engaging our leaders, we are asking, how best can we as young people engage our leaders as we demand better governance, keeping the End SARS protest as a basis for this conversation? I mean, we just heard everyone saw the ruling and the the results that came out from the panel. I mean, there's nobody that is in Lagos or Nigeria today or all over the world that has not seen that report. So let's have that at the back of our mind and, think of ways to demand better governance. So please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. So we're going to open our phone line shortly. But I was just going to say, Uti and Elsie. So it's so interesting. First of all, I kept on wrapping my head around how do we have this conversation without, going back to like repetitive, coming back to say everything we've said and rewind and rewind and rewind. Protest was one. And I mean, when everybody saw that report that the judicial panel released to the government, everybody said, okay, at least it means that whatever it was that happened in October last year was worth that fight, because somehow it seems like justice would truly prevail in that case. But it got me thinking, did anyone needed to lose their lives? Was the protest the only way we would have been able to find a solution to demanding, because everything around End SARS protest was demanding better governance from our leaders. Were there more creative ways we as young people would have engaged the government? So that what informed the conversation for tonight. So who will take the floor? Let me not put anyone on the spot.
Young leader.
Me, young leader.
Young leader.
I posted it on my story today, and I put this our flyer, and I put the baby picture there. You know that tired baby sticker, and I say I don't have anything to say, because like you rightly said, when you're introducing the topic, you said that this is the first part. This cannot be the first part. This is like the 100 part of this conversation, right? But we cannot get tired. We will keep talking about it. Yeah. I don't even talk the talk they go. But protest, there's something, there's a quote you use where they say blood, sweat, and something. If you want to build a nation, it has to happen.
There has to be some bloodshed, and
unfortunately, and this is me just saying, sending my condolence to those who lost their loved ones, or even are living with one form of disability or the other now, because of that protest.
Trauma.
Trauma, but there are people who, I saw one who
was amputated.
And this is not even a country that is conducive for people who are disabled anyway. So my heart really goes out to everyone who has lost something that, if we have to put it on a scale, we can say this is massive and significant. We all lost something, right? But I would not say that the protest wasn't necessary, or that there should have been a better way. There probably should be more protests. But we need to begin to engage in a better way, right? I wrote an article yesterday on my blog where I did a funny thing with the belief of our village people, and I created a concept around it as to understanding that our village people is not just about your village people in the village. It could be anybody, because in the real sense of it, the village is this place is somebody's village. So a village can be anywhere, right? It's somewhere on my blog. But my point I was really trying to make is to say that if we're going to do things and get results, then we have to do it in a different way. Doing the same thing the same way and expecting results is what they tell you is madness, right? Yeah. So we have to come in groups, and coming in groups, it has to be a case of people who understand what the goal is, understand the right steps to take, understand our rights, where it starts, where it ends, and then begin to take deliberate steps. Nigeria got to this point not in 1 year, not in 2, not in 5. We watched it. I'm not going to remove myself from this equation. We all watched it degenerate to where it is right now. And if it is going to be better, it's going to be one step at a time. It might be one sector at a time, one state at a time, one local government at a time. Whatever it's going to take, it has to be deliberate, and it has to be people who have the best interest of heart. I was having a very interesting conversation with my friend recently, and we're talking about the kind of leader we should have as a people. And we're saying, is it possible to have a combination of an Obasanjo, right? And then you have, in the same person, you have an Obasanjo, you have an IBB, you have an Abacha, and then you have a Buhari. Because at the end of the day, we don't need a nice person.
Yep.
We need someone who will get the job done, right? Nigerians need strong-handedness.
What is always preached?
I said, the benevolent dictator. That's what we need.
That is what Fashola sort of brought that vibe a bit to Lagos State. And remember when I talked about how wearing seatbelt in Lagos State now is sort of a culture. It wasn't like that.
It wasn't like that.
When
Absolutely.
he passed that law, I think I was in a lot of the conversation where it was like, this man is stressing us. So how are we going to drive and drive well? Why tying ourselves to a rope? Like, there was a lot of conversation around it, and it didn't make sense. But right now, we can be proud to say, oh, you get into your car. The conversation has even progressed to saying, why not wearing seat belts at the back? Because it protects you, right? So we need somebody who would put in rules, implement them, and also see the future. Right now, I cannot categorically say that people we have there are innovative thinkers. Like, they probably cannot see beyond the next day. Like, they cannot see what the person who is setting up a unicorn company is seeing, right? We need people who would also see that fun. Maybe that is where I'm sleeping in an Obasanjo, because the internet you have today, thanks to him. Yes, he's not the tech guy, but he was able to
believe value that it was going to
that the proposal would bring, and he got into it. So I just think that we just need to strategize and come back to the table and begin to ask the right questions. What are we supposed to do right? Where does our rights stop?
So are you suggesting dialogue as a way to demand better governance?
It's not dialogue.
Sitting on the table is what?
No. So I'm talking, so if you want a change in, say, Etiosa local government, for example, you start asking questions. How do I get the right candidates? If you find the right candidates, how do I position the right candidates to even have a chance to get into that office, of power, right? And then you start mopping up funds and knowing, okay, this is what we are supposed to do. This is how we're supposed to go. This is where our rights end. This is the kind of person that can get into that place, right? And then you start from that point. But look at a case of Soludo, for example, right? I'm not a fan of Soludo for any reason. I mean, congratulations to him. But look at Emogalu. So Soludo started from somewhere, and there are people who would even tell you that there are lower places to start from. And he had what you would say is a shot at the goal, and he got it right now, right? I don't think Emogalu can be the president of Nigeria with the way he's going. But he has amazing ideas, concepts. He is the technocrat that you people say, oh, we need, because we need to get somewhere. But being a technocrat is not where it ends. You have to be able to play the game. You have to be everything. You have to be everything. And I don't know where we are going to find that person, because the person is not me anyway. Right? So let me shut up so that I don't even think
it's going to be a technocrat. I think it's somebody that has the good sense to realize and understand the value that technocrats bring to the table, to hire them, to trust their judgment and allow them do their work. So, but, you know, Elsie has pretty much said everything. The thing for me that when it comes to governance, I will start where I always start, accountability. Now, when I talk about accountability, I don't talk about accountability from the part of our leaders, because we already know that's what we're trying to change. That's almost it's non-existent for most of our leaders. But accountability is something that you must familiarize yourself with first. To be able to hold someone accountable, you must be able to hold yourself accountable. So a lot of the things that I see when you're about on the roads, you know, you see things happening and you go, clearly this is not a person that can hold themselves accountable. Clearly this is a person tomorrow who, if they find themselves in the same situation as our leaders today, will probably do the same. So when you find yourself, in traffic, I've got to rush, I've got to dash, there are decisions that you make split second that say a lot about who you are. Are you going to go one way? Are you going to quickly dart around the roundabout going in the opposite direction because there's, you know, all of these things, they make a huge difference to who we are as people to what we find acceptable. Today, Elsie and I were having a conversation on the way here. Money is the common denominator. It moves mountains. You don't even need the faith of a mustard seed. Right now, money gonna move whatever you need to move in this country.
I'm telling you.
That's the reality of it. So the fact is, we need to be the change, or what's that thing now? Be the change you want to see, right? We need to be Michael Jackson's man in the mirror. We need to really think about everything that we're calling for. What does it look like if you lived it in your life, in your reality? Because they say what? Little drops make an ocean. If we start to make these changes, if we start to hold people accountable, right? It doesn't take the police. It doesn't take all the various, is it Kai, all the various agencies that have been created just to keep order. I know that human nature, there's carrot and stick, there's consequences. But I feel like we all have some sense, maybe not all the same sense of right and wrong, but we all have some sense of right and wrong. And if we start to see how the collective wrongs are harming us as people, leave the leaders. Because, I mean, Abuja is where Abuja is. You are here in Lagos, you know. So when we weave that tale, I know that people will say, oh, it's hunger that makes them do the wrong thing. It's all of these things. I totally hear you. And in some ways, you're right. But if we all keep going down that path, how do you demand something of someone that you maybe are not able to give yourself? That when you find yourself in a situation where you have to make a decision, you make the easier decision. Because these are little things, but seemingly important things. And then you talk about, I mean, when you talk about leadership, you talk about the kind of people, like you said, it's not a short game. Nigeria didn't get here to this point. We didn't degenerate overnight. So this mindset that also change will flourish overnight, it's a very long game. I mean, when I hear, when Soludo won, and I heard all the excitement, I said a little prayer for the man. I said, please, may you not go through the same thing that happened to our current president, not even Peter Obi. Because you remember all the excitement and all the, you know, in 2015, oh my God, Buhari change, APC change. And here we are today. I'm not saying that they've done fantastically, but there's also the place that expectation plays as well.
True.
So when you have such a high expectation, you think this man is going to come and work miracles tomorrow overnight, it's going to turn to the UK or whatever. Happen. There is a process, and I also find
but
that
this one is different. So this one is different because yes, if it's a case of where we how did your uncle speak that where we were and we did not move forward, we did not move backward. We will say okay, our expectations were too much, but we've gone backward.
No, so that's what I'm saying. So now that we know that we've regressed, there is an expectation that says before you even hit there, let's even level up. Let's even get back to where we were before we start now. So, you know, there's a process. But what I find is that we are not ready for the process. Because that's why I say you want a benevolent dictator, right? Because when you have 2-year-old kids and you have a parent, when the 2-year-old kid, you see all those videos now, this is the third TV, this child is breaking. When you see all these things happening, you've got to set the child straight. You've got to correct those mistakes before you start trying to teach the child new behaviors and new things. So we also need to think about it that what do we want Nigeria to look like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years? And then what we think about, what do we want our futures of tomorrow to look like? And let's start looking for them now. It's not us, by the way.
No, it's not us.
It's not us.
I was going to even say that.
So, it's not.
How do you demand for accountability from someone like Elijah Muhammad? You know what? We'll take a break. I'll return from the break. We'll open our phone line. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Now, thanks for tuning in. If you just tuned in, it's our Ladies' Night Out, and we are asking, how can we demand good governance from our leaders? I made an example, Elijah Muhammad. Please let us share what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-8038-4663. So we're finding creative ways. Oh, sorry. Our phone line is now open. Call us on 070-2500-7749. The number to call again is 070-2500-7749. Please, when you call, turn off the volume of your television set so we can hear you clearly or we can hear ourselves clearly. All right, so I just, before we went on a break, I asked a question about Elijah Muhammad. Because it's so interesting. I saw a video. I'm trying to look for it in the mainstream paper. I've not found it yet, where he said that he never said people were killed at the Lekki toll. So if we want to be
he
creative,
never said people were killed or were not killed.
No, he has reversed now that he never said people were not killed. Sorry, at the Lekki toll.
Okay.
So I'm trying to just soak it in, you know. But for someone like that, you already know that these are the weaknesses of these leaders, right? So how can you navigate finding creative ways to demand good governance despite the fact that they are there? Because, Uti, whether we like it or not, we'll continue to have bad leaders, right? We will continue to have bad leaders. So my coach once said something to me. He said, Uwa, you need to learn the act of going into a lion's den, picking the meat from his mouth, taking that meat away without him or without the lion, without it devouring you. So let that sink for a bit. Let me take Peter from Benin. Stay with us. Peter, are you there? Aspire to perspire. Peter, are you there?
Yeah, good evening.
Is the volume
good evening,
okay?
Everybody.
Peter?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Peter.
Yeah, interesting topic. But it's not possible for us to demand good governance from our leaders in Nigeria today. Because one, Nigeria is built on lies. We don't have a constitution that will protect us. You asked the question, how do we demand truth from our Minister for Information? I can tell even me that is talking, all of you sitting down on that panel, because of the weak institutions that we have, if any of us is Minister for Information, we might do worse than what Lai Mohammed is doing. Because nobody is held accountable for anything in this country. The level of impunity is high. The only way we can demand good governance from this country is to focus from 0 to 10 years now, start telling them, building them into the right culture of doing the right thing. Then secondly, let's concentrate on the House of Assembly of all states and the Senate and see how we can get good people that have the interest of this country into that elected place. Because if you have laws and strong institutions, you start making a good country. Have we ever asked ourselves that is it possible for us in the South to see people in the North that would think like us passionately on how we can move this country forward without tribalism and nepotism? Why has any protest in this country has not been successful? Is it the SAP riot? Is it the June 12th? Is it the NSAS? We will continue going around vicious circles until we now have the same like mind that we think Nigeria first. Because even if the great Awolowo once said, I'm a first Yoruba man first before I become a Nigeria, it shows you the foundations of how our leaders were thinking. Nigeria does not even come first in our leaders that we have first, that is governing us today. So this is my solution. Let's invest in our children, one. Then let's see how we can build a sustainable legislative house that will start making laws. Like, look at the electoral law of direct primaries. Why the governor scared? Because if you have 200,000 members as your political party, how are you going to give them $1,000? Because direct will come rigging. But they don't want it. Because they cannot give what they don't have. It's a sad story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter. So, I like the idea of going back to the children, trying to raise the right mindset, start to instill those. But you see, sometimes we think that there's one miracle that would happen and maybe this corrupt generation would fizzle out. It won't, right? So for me, I think the best method, this is my thinking, for us to be able to find creative solutions to even amidst this corruption, the sickening state of, impunity and all of that, find something that maybe puts these people in check. Maybe like institutionalize things. Are we signing petitions? For instance, has anybody called a petition out so that we all signed for the resignation of Lai Mohammed, the resignation of Sanwo-Olu. You understand? Have we? No, it's true. Have we started that petition that will call for their resignation? I'm just saying, Uti, why you guys?
No,
why are you making me like I'm sounding like a Greek?
No, let's not.
It's sounding like you live in the
half
Western
the road.
world.
Even in the Western world, petition is not working.
No, but
so hold on. Then you sign the petition, 200 million signatures. Oh yeah, who now enforce it?
it will be enforced.
By who?
How did they pass this not too young to run bill?
Thank you for
into law?
asking that question. There was a process. In fact, all of us are shouting not too young to run. If you know the work that went into that, from drafting the bill first and foremost to ensuring that the people in the government or the House and then the presidency align with the bill, and also massaging their ego to a point, because I remember the conversation where we were having where they were saying you cannot keep making them feel like they are the bad ones. You have to apply emotional intelligence at that point, and also rub their ego, and then begin to have the conversation in a way that they see it as them doing
Also
the country a favor.
Okay.
And then you get it. So it is not that we just woke up and we had the not too young to run bill, and then there's a I mean, we've had a conversation about the startup bill, right? We can see the progress on how long they are still on it. This is after that our first conversation. I think this is 6 months now, and they're still on it. It has not been passed. That's how they can go that way for 2 years. But I like what Uti said about accountability, and I think that is where we can probably draw the line and talk to ourselves. Peter called and was talking about constitution. Honestly, we have laws in this country. We do. When you sit down, like if you are in a situation and you sit down and look through the constitution of this country, there is something somewhere that protects you. We have it. Yes, some of them needs to be amended. Of course, get to the global standard and what is acceptable for now. But even with what we have laws. The problem is implementation. And he also mentioned something about if you can see people from the north that are passionate about Nigeria. Honestly, I have seen them. There are. The fact that we have people that are at the forefront and their voice is the loudest, and we think that maybe northerners are complete against the idea of Nigeria, that is not the case across board, but I get where he's coming from. So accountability really has to start from us as a people, individual. What are we doing? How are we responding to the situation? What more can be done? If you can hold yourself accountable, you're talking about Lai Mohammed. I don't want to use words that are not right, but when you look at the things that he has done for some time, it's sort of things that people would define and tell you this person is just a pathological liar. There's nothing you can do about it, right?
So beyond redemption.
And when it comes to pathological lying, you get to the point where there is a self-deception going on.
That you tell yourself that you are saying the truth.
You don't even know that you're lying.
Oh, wow.
It's now a part of you.
Anthony from Ogun State, I believe. Thank you for calling. Wow. Hi, Anthony. You're live.
I'm Kennedy from Ogun State.
Okay, thank you for calling.
From school, I've learned something. Don't mind my English, I don't understand English.
You can speak whatever you wish.
So I've learned that Nigeria can never be one. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. The solution, if we don't want to speak Nigeria, maybe we should, Western, we should change it to Western Nigeria, Northern Nigeria, then all these
Thank you so much. The line is a bit muffled, so we can't hear you clearly, but we might need to cut you off. But I think I got a sense of what he's trying to say, that Nigeria cannot be one, that maybe we should split Nigeria, so we have Western Nigeria, Eastern Nigeria, Northern Nigeria. Is that the solution?
So I've heard many angles to this narrative. I remember speaking to someone once who talked about Europe and how, countries in Europe like, Czechoslovakia split into Czech Republic, and all of that, really tribal lines, it just has to split, it can't work. And somehow
let's not forget Sudan too.
Yeah, so I mean, there's so many, issues.
Examples,
thank you. But in my mind, I keep going back to, I was born into this country now. At some point, you lived in the north. You grew up in the north. At some point, I remember as a child, come Christmas, you're going to carry chicken and rice everywhere. Come salad, ram going to come to you. It is possible. I think the fact that we are no longer seeking unity. What we are seeking is telling ourselves that the solution that works is for everybody to go their own way. Now, we have different cultures, we have different values, we have different norms. But does it truly mean, I may be naive in my beliefs, but I don't think that we are so different that we can't find a way to live together. That's strength we have in our diversity.
Let me take Ken from Lagos, I believe. Thank you for calling.
Hi, a very good evening to you, ladies.
Hi, Ken. Thank you for calling.
Thank you for having me. Beautiful ladies, I must say. Beautiful line of thoughts. And I really appreciate what you're doing. It's my first time on the program.
Wow, you're welcome.
And I
Thank
enjoy
you.
your line of conversation. For me, I really want to look at it from this angle. The reason why people don't beat speed cameras in United Kingdom and other parts of the world, the reason why you have to pay your bills at the end of every month, the reason why you have a fine, a parking ticket, and you get to pay, is because there are institutions that people are not above. So I think one basic thing we really need to start doing is putting our institutions right in Nigeria, where it doesn't matter if you are the son of a senator, son of a governor, you must abide by the rules. It doesn't matter if you're the governor of Lagos State, your plate number, once it runs through a traffic light, they don't care. You definitely would have to face the fine. Absolutely. So if we get these institutions right in our country, it will go a long way. And I know we're looking at Lai Mohammed, and it's the same institutions we're talking about brought all of them from the mud to where they are. But if we get the institutions right and everybody is afraid of the law, and in getting the institutions right, first thing we need to do, you see, the executive and the legislative, they're just there. But you see that judicial aspect of the arm of government needs to be upheld to a standard where if you go to court today, you get an hearing in less than 48 hours.
Thank you.
If you ought to pay a fine, you pay that fine. If you're not paying fine, if you have to go to jail, you go to jail. Even if it's going to be for 2 weeks or 1 month, but at least
You'll be on record.
people will start understanding. It doesn't matter where you are, from the east, from the west, from the north, from the south. There's something that we believe in Nigeria, that you do the right thing and everybody will be fine.
Thank you so much,
If we
Ken.
carry that same thing into the political system, the education, and the business people, the market, Nigeria will be a beautiful place for each and every one of us.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So while he was talking, when he started talking about institution, I was asking in my head, like, so who is going to set up the institution? But then I asked myself again, it is really possible for those institutions to start working. And the example that came to mind, please forgive me for using the same person, because now the example one I know I could use. In rents in Nigeria, in Lagos State rather, before now, this is say 8 years ago, you don't pay 1 year.
Yeah, landlords would demand 3 years, 2 years.
4.
Yeah.
Some people will tell you 5 years.
Yes.
The minimum you get is 2 years, and you are so happy that this man pity me. How did we get to being able to pay 1 year rent, and that's basically almost your right now? If you're demanding for more than 1 year, then people are wondering what is your problem, right? We've even gotten to the point where fintechs, there are tech platforms that have keyed into that. You can now pay monthly for your rent, right? Just pick and go. Like, what do you need? You get into a house, you stay there, you pay monthly, and you move, right? And that was only because somebody like Babatunde Raji Fashola again was able to put in that institution to say, come rain, come sunshine, you are taking one year. Yes, the aim was to say it's going to be monthly, but he realized that that was going to be a stretch because of the kind of economy we have and all that, right? But it was done, and it's still doable. So again, I say forgive me for always using him, but what I'm saying is
it
is possible, and we need people that would be, what do you call them? People that would just stomp on us and tell us this is the right thing. And it is not just because
benevolent dictator.
It is not just because they want to gain something. It is because they are seeing something that the majority is not seeing.
Uti, I'll come to you. Let me take a call. I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Thank you for calling. Let's hear what you have to say. I think it's your first time caller. Hi, are you there? You're live. We said turn up the volume of your television set.
I'm calling in to discuss about, yes, I'm live. Okay, I'm calling in to discuss about the topic good governance. And also first of all, I want to speak on the Lekki Gate incident and all that. One of the panel members said a petition should be signed by now. Even if we sign a petition now, Lai Mohammed will not resign. He will not resign. If Nigeria was a proper country by now, ever since, Lai Mohammed would have resigned. But let's just that one for the side. Okay, talking about good governance. The day the electorate know the power they have, things will start changing in Nigeria. An average electorate in Nigeria do not know that their representative can be recalled from wherever house, state house, federal house, senate, and they don't believe on voting. So sometimes, anytime I get to discuss things with my younger ones, their friends, they say, oh, they are not voting, it's a waste of time. I tell them, no. Your vote counts.
Absolutely.
By the time you stay back, you continue to stay back and say, my vote will not count. We keep on electing irresponsible people.
Thank you so much.
So by the time the electors know that they have the power in their hands, things will start changing.
Absolutely.
And we'll start having good governance. Thank you.
Aka Owo. I think that's the Aqua Owo. Aqua Owo. OT. I like what he's saying. Honestly, we have a lot of power that we do not understand the power that we wield. When it comes to some of these things. I mean, I'm trying to be in a team for someone that is trying to run for House of Representatives. And the only thing I'm already warning that, I hope you know that I will be part of the people that will drag you down if you win and you do not do what you promise. So what's your goal for this seat, right? For instance. But I think I have a call. Thank you for calling. Just Hohis, thank you for calling. Then I'll come to you, Uti. Are you there? You're live.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
We are talking about demanding good governance in Nigeria. Let me use my state, Edo State. A governor runs a state without a state house of assembly. A governor is running a state without local government chairman. And that governor is still being supported by some indigenes in this state. So how do you not demand equity and responsibility from a governor that people are supporting is drawing a government with just 7 House of Assembly members? We are in a deep problem in this country because we keep on rationalizing the bad behavior from the people that is ruling us.
Thank you, Ohis.
Ohis is gone?
I think he's gone.
Is it the same governor?
Yes, Obaseki.
Oh, okay.
Uti.
So, I mean, what Ohis was saying for me just speaks to, and even the caller before him. Remember after NSAS happened, there was all these people that sprung up. People need to understand the constitution. People need to understand politics. They need to understand governance. Knowledge is power. If you don't know what your rights are, if you don't know what you can and cannot do, then you're coming from a place of ignorance. And that's what I hear, because it's so easy when we talk about stomach infrastructure. People are hungry. It's so easy for you to take a bag of rice or take 1,000 naira and look the other way, because you can't see beyond your immediate need. And this is where, when you talk about the examples that that Elsie mentioned. This is a governor or a government that looked and said, look, what are the issues and problems of our people? And how do we start to pick? You know, because sometimes I feel like if you look at the grand scheme of problems in Nigeria, I'm not even sure I want to be president because I'm not sure I know which to tackle first. Because the problems are numerous.
So let me address something you just said, Uti. A good place to start would be getting more and more people out of poverty.
But there are many ways to even do that. Right? So the point for me there is, when you start to look at the magnitude of what we need to turn the ship around, which is why I said, when you're at minus 100, your goal is not to get to plus 100. Your goal is first to get back to zero. Yeah. So in truth, when you talk about those changes, look at what happened in NAFDAC. There was a time when you buy drugs, you're not sure what you're taking, people are dying.
Sure.
Even common Panadol, people were dying. So it is not impossible, because I know that when we look at our reality, we say, God, Nigeria's problem.
Where do we start?
Where do we start?
It's not impossible.
But it's not impossible, which is why I come back to accountability. The leaders who went into these organizations, they had a plan, they had a roadmap, they enforced it.
So how do we demand accountability?
No, you see, now when you say demand accountability, remember what I said at the start? Before you demand, you must have it. So the leaders that we're even bringing into these places, as individuals, do you start to identify people who are accountable, that can take up these offices? Not people that tomorrow I helped you, like you said, you're on the team for House of Rep, then you come out, you've made House of Rep, where settle me. And that's what we have today. So when we start to, we can make it as complicated as we want, and we can make it as simple as we can, not as we want. Because we start to take it in little buckets and say, look, in every state, even the governors, what can you do to make a real difference in your people's lives? That doesn't take, 20 years, 100 years.
I mean, when she mentioned Fashola, but let's check for messages. When she mentioned Fashola, I remember that even currently now, the housing scheme that he did, I had a stakeholders meeting on Saturday. The new governor has gone back to his model. His model was to get you and I, taxpayers that they don't have hope of owning homes, to own houses, right? So in fact, the system alone, it will weed off anybody that, all those civil servants before that will just go buy all the properties and start to sell at expensive, ridiculous prices. That structure that he put in place, it completely sieves those people out. So once your name is in the system that you've ever bought any property in Lagos, you are not qualified. So look at the housing estate I own in Ogba. One of the houses I own, every single occupant of that house are normal 95ers like you and I. Now imagine if we multiply that, get more people out of that poverty line, get more people out of, too many burden. You see, let me tell you something. When people are economically empowered, right, they can know what is good and what is bad, and they can know how to demand. I mean, see what the governor-elect of Anambra did for the lady that rejected 5,000 naira in Anambra State. So if she did not understand the implication of that 5,000 naira, would she have rejected it? So I think maybe I don't know. Let's take comments. We've run out of time.
But okay. So will you go first or?
Good evening, ladies. To have a good governance, we as the citizens have a role to play in our own space. We should do the right thing. Our orientation has to change, as most Nigerians once in power drop all the good things they know. Some activists once elected do same things they criticize that made people vote them in. We need to establish good values. Good governance is possible, but we all need to work towards that. That's from BC. Thank you, BC.
Okay, so quickly, mine is from Benson. Says, good evening, ladies. You can only demand for accountability if you know the roles and responsibilities of the officers elected to serve. How much do citizens know about what leaders ought to do?
All right, so I think this is from Rafael Akori. It says, from Zaria, it says, lack of accountability has corroded political leaders in this country, and to demand for simple morality from our leaders seems like mission impossible. There's still hope in this country because most of our current leaders are 70 years and they will soon die. Rafael, are you banking on that? I don't think that will work. But thank you, ladies. Thank you, Uti. Thank you, Elsie. I think we had a fantastic conversation. This is part 1. Part 2 is coming on Thursday.
This is part 201.
Right? All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram. It's at PlusTvAfrica. You can drop a comment. And we have started our giveaway. So follow us on Instagram to find out what we're giving away. All right, so follow us now. It's at PlusTvAfrica to see all the goodies you can grab. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. We cannot be mere consumers of good governance. We must be participants. We must be co-creators. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.